In today's video, I'm reflecting on some major mistakes I made in the casino on my last cruise. I'm sharing what I learned in the hopes that you can avoid these same errors. What's up, everyone? Jay Anderson here with Free to Cruise. Welcome back in. Took a little bit of a break over the holidays, was traveling a bit, did manage to sneak in a cruise on the brand new Star Princess. And I actually have 2 more cruises on the Star Princess coming up as well. Excited about that. Going to have plenty of videos on my thoughts on the ship, the Sphere class ship, and of course, the casino. But for this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the mistakes I made during that trip in December and really turned what could have been a break-even or even positive cruise from a net profit perspective into a negative one. Just for a couple mistakes I made in the last hour and the last day in the casino. I'm going to talk about them today, share them, try and share what I'm doing to prevent those mistakes in the future, and hopefully help you all out the next time you're in the cruise ship casino as well. And while I am primarily a craps player and will be talking primarily about playing craps, I think these mistakes that I'm going to cover could happen to anyone. Doesn't matter if you're a slots player, video poker, other table games. I think anyone that has spent time in the casino can learn from my mistakes. Before I get into it, I did want to give a little bit of context on how I approach casinos on cruise ships and these free cruises in general. I am pretty much a low roller. I'm trying to minimize the amount of risk that I have on the table or in the casino at any given time. I'm really trying to extract as much value from the casino as I can, whether that's earning free cruises, whether that's getting free play, whether that's using my play to churn through credit card rewards and get rewards points. I'm really trying to take every angle I can to maximize my value in the casino because I know the house edge is against me. And to help with that, I try and stick with low house edge games, whether that's craps or video poker. But essentially, I'm trying to get as much value as I can from the casino, which is why these mistakes can be so costly to me because my edge is so small and my margin for error is so small as well. Here's the situation. I was a couple days into the cruise. I had a goal of 4,000 points in the casino so I could get my instant cruise certificate. And in day 3, I think I had about 3,500 points and was roughly break even. I had a couple $100 in free play that I had gone through, but outside of that, I was pretty much still break even in the casino with only about 500 points to go towards my goal. On the last night of the cruise, I decided to change strategies. And this is where I made my first big mistake. Now, the mistake wasn't necessarily just changing the strategy. It was changing to a strategy that I had never played before. And my intentions were in the right place. I really wanted to move away from my typical strategy and put less risk out on the table so I could get those last 500 points with less risk. Now, unfortunately, I made the mistake of deciding to play a strategy that I really hadn't played out on a live table before. And I think this is really where it kind of blew up in my face because I was so focused on trying to execute the strategy correctly that I was losing track of all the other contexts that I should be paying attention to. You know, how the table was going, how many points I actually needed, how I was doing, et cetera, et cetera. I was just so singularly focused on executing this new strategy that it sort of derailed my entire night. And I think this can apply no matter what you're doing. If you're, changing your usual bet on a slot machine or going to a different slot machine. If you're changing how you're playing video poker or how you're playing blackjack on a table, if you're trying to change your strategy to reduce risk or try and get your money back or whatever the goal is that you're trying to do that's driving you to change that strategy, if you're doing a new strategy, that's going to knock you off your game, especially if you haven't practiced it before, because you're just going to be focused on too many other things. And I think that was my first major mistake, was trying to play a strategy I'd never played before. The major irony here is, had I just stuck with my initial strategy because I was tracking my rolls, I would have actually made money. So not only did I send myself into a bit of a tailspin by trying to execute this new strategy, it didn't work out for me. Had I just stuck with what I was doing initially, I would have been much better off. So again, this doesn't mean never change strategies, but it just means have 2 or 3 that you're really good at, that are well thought out. Doesn't matter what game you're playing, stick to the strategies that you know. Don't try and change things up and be a hero for trying to reduce your risk or whatever your goal might be. The second mistake I made goes a little bit hand in hand with the first mistake. Because I was changing strategies and was so focused on that, I didn't set a good evaluation point for myself to sort of reflect, take a minute, pause, and see how I was doing for the night. Now, I was tracking my rolls at the table, and I was tracking how everything was going. And about an hour into the session, I was actually doing okay, despite distracting myself with a new strategy. But because I was so focused on that strategy, I didn't stop and take a minute and pause and say, hey, I'm an hour in. How are we doing? We should probably call it a night. I only needed 500 points. An hour of play at the bet level I was at probably would have gotten me to that 500 points that I needed. And I would have been much better off saying, okay, after an hour, let's evaluate, let's see where we're at, and make a decision from there. But I didn't do that. I wanted to shoot the dice, I wanted to roll the dice, and I had decided ahead of time I was going to wait for the dice to come around the table, get to me, I was going to roll, and that was going to be my play time for the night. And I, for whatever reason, didn't stop an hour in based on how the table was going, evaluate my situation and say, hey, maybe it's time to call it for the night. You don't necessarily need to shoot the dice. You probably have your 500 points. Let's just stick with it and go with that. And I think that happens to a lot of people. Again, doesn't matter what game you're playing, whether it's slots, poker, what have you, always make sure you set yourself an evaluation point, whether it's a dollar amount, whether it's a time amount, where you sit back, you pause, you evaluate where you're at, how you're trending towards your goal, and decide whether you want to continue to push forward at that point in time. I think that's very important to do, very important to remember. The last mistake I made, probably more craps specific, but could see this happening if you're in any sort of large group of people and you're trying to keep the energy and the vibes up. And that was not taking my bets down when I had the chance and I was up. And this was just kind of this weird social contract that I made with myself where I was shooting the dice, I was on a decently long roll, people were making money, and I didn't want to ruin the vibes of the table by taking my bets down or turning them off. I wanted everyone to keep winning, I wanted to keep winning, et cetera, et cetera. And in retrospect, I should have taken my bets down because the 7 was going to come eventually. The 7 did come eventually. And I essentially gave back a lot of the profit that I had made on my roll because I wasn't collecting money and I wasn't taking my bets down. So in general, don't get caught up with the social camaraderie. Don't get caught up with peer pressure situations, whether it's real or self-imposed. It's your money at the table. Stay in control of your money. Take your bets down when you need to. Don't worry about what anyone else has to say. And to be fair, no one gave me a hard time. I don't think anyone would have given me a hard time. This was all just in my own head, deciding that I needed to do certain things, which was just silly. Just to recap here really quickly, so hopefully you do not make these mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Stick with the strategies that you know when you're playing in the casino. Don't try and roll out something brand new at the tail end of a gaming session because you're trying to reduce risk. Set an evaluation point. Make sure you have a point in time or a bankroll point where you step back for a minute and you say, hey, do I really need to continue based on what my goals are, or should I just shut it down right now and revisit it at a later time? Don't fall victim to peer pressure, whether it's real or implied in the casino. You know, it's fun to be around people and everyone winning, but it's your money. Control your money. Play how you want to play, and don't worry about anything else. So, those are my little mistakes that I made on my last cruise on the Star Princess. Like I said, got 2 more cruises coming up. Going to keep trying to churn those free cruises, earn more free cruises. I've got a lot more content planned that I'm excited about. Planning to try some different cruise lines this year, see what those casinos are like. So if you're enjoying this type of content, please consider subscribing and look forward to seeing you here again. See ya.